which one should I review next? We've done all the prophecies. I guess I have to do the customs. I've did the bone white. I have to do the slashes. But man, it's the holidays. It's the end of the year. I'm lazy. Ooh, I know. Let's do the little guy. If you want a traveler guitar but you don't like the weird looking ones with the small bodies and the neck dive, you're going away from home either on vacation for the holidays or work related and you cannot take your full-size Les Paul with you, I got a solution for you. You go in the Epiphone website under the electric travel guitar and you find this little guy, which is the Epiphone Les Paul Express and costs only $150. It's currently out of stock in the official website, but you can still find it in stores. It's basically a short scale mini Les Paul and it comes in two colors, ebony and the one that I'm gonna show you today, the vintage Sunburst. And the only photo that is in the Epiphone website doesn't do it any justice. It doesn't look like this. In fact, it looks much better in person. Let me show it to you. Look at this cute little guy. It looks, feels, plays and sounds like a Les Paul. You got the Les Paul body shape and two humbuckers. In fact, the only thing that makes this different from a regular Les Paul, other than the size and the scale of course, is the bridge. This feels way different than the Tunematic. The controls you've seen on the Les Paul Specials, you have volume, tone and a three-way switch. It is a smaller body, but it's still made out of mahogany and it's relatively heavy and thick. It's only around 4 inches shorter than your regular Les Paul, but you can definitely feel that it's smaller with the short scale length and the smaller body. No fancy curved maple top for this one, just a flat mahogany body. The big difference between your big Les Paul and this one is in the number of frets. This has 21 and the shorter scale of 21.96 inches. With that said, the neck will still feel close enough to home for Les Paul players. So on paper, the Les Paul Express is the perfect traveler guitar. It's compact, it's cheap, it has most of the Les Paul specs, but it has some drawbacks as well. For example, because of the shorter scale, I had a difficult time intonating it with the 1046 strings that it came with from the factory. That's not a huge issue by itself. You can compensate the shorter scale with thicker gauge strings, for example 11s, 12s. But there's another problem that comes with it. Epiphone had used the same die-cast tuners they've used on the Epiphone Special, and those just don't want to stay in tune. So every time I do a bend on the 10s, it whacks it out of tune. Imagine if I put 11s or 12s. So the Express can definitely benefit from some mods and new tuners. Surprisingly, the setup of this guitar was not too bad from the factory, but I'm still gonna polish these frets and oil the fingerboard. This guitar has been sitting in a box for over a year, so the Granadillo fingerboard can definitely benefit from some oil. There we go. Nice and oiled with the F1 oil, and the frets are polished with Frying by Music Nomad. Here's the official listing in the Epiphone website, the little Les Paul that roared. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna quickly show you all of the specs, starting with the body, neck, hardware, electronics, and the rest. Now let's see these in person. We got a multiple piece mahogany body with the vintage Sunburst finish, mahogany neck with a bolt-on construction, Granadillo fingerboard, 21 frets, die-cast tuners, the black nut, a set of humbuckers 650R 700T, Epiphone FB601 fully adjustable bridge with strings through body construction, volume, tone and a three-way switch, everything a Les Paul needs. But the Express has 21 frets, 12-inch radius and 21.96-inch scale length. Measuring the pickups, 1509 k ohms for the bridge 700T, switching over to the 650R at the neck position, 791, and the middle position, 525. The controls are master volume, master tone and the three-way switch, and I love these top hats with the silver reflectors. I got these on a couple of guitars. I don't know why they are listed as speed knobs in the official website, but here they are. The three-way switch has a poker chip under it, and I have to double check this three-way switch. I think it doesn't engage the rhythm pickup sometimes. It's typical for those cheap three-way switches. Epiphone are calling this bridge the FB601 fully adjustable. You can adjust the height of the individual saddles with an Allen wrench, and you can intonate it from the back. It's a strings through body construction. I'm gonna show you the back in a second, and this is not a typical bridge for a Les Paul. It feels way different than the two-pneumatic bridge and tailpiece, and it's actually throwing me off a little bit. I cannot properly do the palm mutes on this. Here's the back and the way the strings are going through the body. We have a small body made out of mahogany. I'm actually surprised that it's made out of mahogany, even though it's multiple pieces, because on the Les Paul Special, the first generation, they've used poplar. Mahogany is what you want on a Les Paul. It is a small body, as I already mentioned, and here is compared to a regular Les Paul. That's the Studio E1, and it has the regular body with the curved top. And here's the difference in the bridge that I told you about. A two-pneumatic bridge and a tailpiece for the Studio, and a strings through body construction for the Express. Moving over to the neck with a bolt-on construction, it's actually pretty substantial. Feels good even though this has 21 frets, 12-inch radius and a shorter 21.96-inch scale length. The neck greatly contributes to the Les Paul feeling. It feels like the big boys. It has the Granadillo fingerboard that I saw on the Jason Hook Epiphone signature. And something that you cannot tell by the photos, the neck actually has binding, black binding with side dot inlays and plastic inlays for the Granadillo fingerboard. We're gonna measure it in a second. A black nut, some cheap plastic probably, and unfortunately no inspired by Gibson Kalamazoo headstock. This is the old style of Epiphone headstock. It's not part of the inspired by Gibson collection. Black veneer on top, gold silk screen Les Paul model, and I think the logo, yep, the logo is a silk screen as well, no mother of pearl or pearloid. And the cheapest die-cast tuners. Here's what the truss rod cavity looks like. Two-way adjustable truss rod covered by this Epiphone belt, 3 screws, 2-ply Epiphone Express logo on it. The nut is okay, a little bit shorter than 43mm, not exactly flush with the binding of the neck, but I say it's okay. The nut is 42.9mm wide or 1.68 inch. The 12th fret is at 53mm or 2.08 inches. Thickness at the first fret 20.8mm or 0.81 inch. Thickness at the 12th fret 22.5mm or 0.88 inch. So it's not that chunky, just feels like it because of the small body probably. Epiphone are calling this a slim taper neck profile. Looks to me somewhere between the C and D shapes. It was a little bit hard for me to measure it actually. It looks a little bit asymmetrical. The best fingerboard radius for a Les Paul 305mm or 12 inches and the scale length 555mm or 21.96 inches. Medium jumbo 21 frets. Even though this is a smaller body, it's surprisingly thick and heavy at 40.2mm or 1.58 inch. The entire length of the guitar, measuring from the back strap button to the tip of the headstock, is around 35.5 inches. Let's compare that to the regular size Les Paul, the classic. It is around 39.5, 4 inches longer. This is what the back of the guitar looks like, pretty smooth with a polyurethane finish. If you look closely, you will see 4 seam lines, at least 4, so this means it's a multiple piece body and probably a sandwich body. Epiphone are calling this a bolt-on construction with a tapered heel and 4 recessed bolts. A chrome plate that has the Epiphone logo, performance is our passion, their motto, a part of the Gibson family of brands. Pretty cool. Then on the neck heel we have the Made in China sticker. The neck is finished in gloss, probably made out of a couple of pieces of mahogany and a scarf joint for the headstock. This is interesting, I haven't seen this before. Inspected by Gabor China. I'm not sure what it means. The Express has a different serial number than the Qingdao, the 15. This one has a 13 serial number, so if you know what Gabor means, please let me know. I'm not sure it's made in the same factory as the other guitars that have the 15 serial number. It might be the same factory, but a different division that deals especially with the special series, the bolt-on construction ones. The serial number is a bit hard to read, 2104, meaning that this was made in April of 2021, and 13, as I already told you, the Qingdao factory is 15, 13 probably for the bolt-on neck guitars. I gotta further investigate this, eventually we'll figure it out. If you know, let me know in the comment section. Here are the die-cast tuners. I showed you these when I was reviewing the Epiphone Les Paul Special. They are lightweight, they are flimsy, they feel cheap, and I think they are the main reason the Express has tuning stability issues combined with the shorter scale. Swapping them out doesn't seem like a straightforward job. The hole doesn't seem wide enough for regular tuners, so you have to widen it. So give it to a proper tech if you want to modify it. Let me show you what I mean. Usually a good tuner weighs around 45 grams and this is almost half, so it's pretty cheap and flimsy. The intonation was way off, but fortunately I was able to adjust it from the bridge. I had to completely intonate all of the 6 cellos. The way you check intonation is when you fret the 12th fret, the note should be the exactly same, like on the open string. For example, open string is E, the 12th fret should be exactly E when measuring with a tuner. All of the notes on the 12th fret were sharper in pitch, and when we have notes sharper in pitch, here is the intonation rule, you have to move the cello away from the nut in this direction towards the back, so I've moved all of the cellos a little further back to properly intonate it. It is surprisingly heavy for such a small guitar at 2691 grams or 5.93 pounds. Check it out, big boy, your new owner is waiting for you outside. Yeah. And the single bend on any string throws it out of tune. It was ridiculous. I had to tune 5 or 6 times during the demo and it still wasn't in perfect tune. Here's the thing, I like the Les Paul Express. I like it way more, for example, than the Hofner Traveler guitar that I've recently reviewed. This has the Les Paul shape, sounds nice, plays nice. The only problem, and it's not a small one, is the tuning stability. So here's what you gotta do. If you're buying this for yourself for a travel guitar, put on some 11s, 12s, 13s, whatever, thicker gauge strings. The thicker strings will eliminate most of your intonation issues. But the main thing that you should do, in my opinion, is get rid of those god-awful die-cast tuners. And check this out, I found this commercial from 6 years ago. It has some interesting info about the neck and the tuners.
The neck on the Express is made of hard maple as opposed to a traditional mahogany neck. This gives the guitar a more high-end bite or brighter tone, which effectively offsets the slightly looser string tension due to the shorter scale length. With the slightly looser string tension, it's even more important to have great machine heads. Epiphone designed the new Express with premium 14:1 ratio die-cast machine heads to give you excellent tuning accuracy and stability. Find out more about the Les Paul Express at your authorized Epiphone dealer.
So first of all, my mistake, the neck is made out of maple. And second, they had the correct tuners from the beginning and chose to ditch them to cut on some costs. Which is a damn shame, because if they kept them, this would have been the perfect travel guitar, at least for me. It doesn't matter though, because I'm pretty sure that most of the people that are gonna buy the Express are gonna modify it anyway. At the end of the day, looks like a Les Paul, plays like a Les Paul, sounds like one, and if you put some love into it, it's gonna be absolutely perfect. At least for what it costs.